Hey everybody, it's Andy, and welcome again to my office in Modesto, California. If you're new to the channel, I'm an attorney licensed to practice law in California as well as New York. And in this video, I'm going to go over how to get legal documents, or actually more accurately, how to get kind of reliable or trustworthy legal documents. So the basic scenario is something like this. Most people, actually a surprising number of people to be honest, will actually have the thought, the inclination, kind of the voice in their head that basically goes, hey, in this situation, I think there should be something in writing. You know, I think the parties should sign something. It should not all be oral. So that's good. That's actually really good news that most people will have that thought that, hey, there should be something in writing here. Here's the bad news. The bad news, I guess, is that most people will then kind of go online and search for stuff. Eventually, they will find something, like Google's good enough, for instance, that they will basically give you some type of legal document eventually, depending on how many searches you do. If you find a legal document that you think applies to your situation, there's two problems that you're going to run into potentially. The first is that you don't actually know the kind of trustworthiness, I guess, or the slant or the bias or whatever for that particular site. You have no idea if this site is run by a person who is reputable, who is educated, trained, etc. on that particular topic. It could be something that this person's running out of their basement. Could be fine otherwise, but maybe they have no training. Maybe they kind of invented all this stuff. This is what they feel should be correct and so forth. So the website itself, for example, might not be a trustworthy source kind of overall. Assuming that it is a trustworthy source, though, the second problem you're going to run into potentially is that you as a layperson, somebody who probably has no experience with legal documents, legal kind of items, you're not going to be sure that this particular document is applicable to your situation. Your best guess is that it probably is, but you could be wrong. You have no idea if this document actually covers your situation exactly, or if it covers your situation not at all, or if it applies a little bit, but other parts don't apply, etc. And there's going to be edits that need to get made. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. The source itself may or may not be reputable. The document itself may or may not kind of apply to your situation. Yeah, hopefully it's going to apply at least somewhat, like it's not going to be completely wrong. But a lot of times though in law, like you do have to get it completely correct. Any type of mistake could in theory invalidate whatever document it is that you're working with. So it is important to get it completely correct and not just partially correct. Yeah, so for lack of a better, for better or worse rather, you do need to kind of worry about these two mistakes, or these two potential mistakes, right? So that said, then there are basically sources online that I think are better, sources of documents than others. For instance, I'm going to go over two of them in this video. They're both government websites, so the thing is, like, I'm not sponsored by them. Like, there's nobody who is kind of paying them, I guess, like to put out these types of documents versus another type, for instance. So hopefully, because they're government sites, they are at least more trustworthy than a site that a private entity would run. Right? So the first site that I'm going to go over is the Los Angeles County Clerk Recorders website, which I'll link down below actually. So if you go to that link, you'll find that they have a lot of kind of template documents, for instance, powers of attorney, easements, mechanics liens and stuff. So they are a little bit specialized, I think. Like, not everybody's going to need a mechanics lien document, let's say. But if you do need a mechanics lien document, rather than draft one from scratch, hopefully you can take the one from the LA County Clerk Recorders website, let's say. Hopefully that'll save you some amount of time. So, I mean, it might save you, prevent you from having to draft the document from scratch. But it's not going to cover your situation precisely, obviously. It's a fill-in-the-blanks type of document. So you might have to you might have to take the 60% or something that is drafted already, and then fill in the remaining 40% yourself. Obviously, like I said earlier, you got to make sure you fill in the 40% correctly, because if you don't, then the entire document might be invalid, let's say. But the good news, though, is that if you have a template to work from, it at least saves you that 60% or 50% or whatever it is, right? So the LA County Clerk Recorders website is fairly good. I've used a couple documents from there, I think. So because it's the government, like there's no bias or kind of motivation one way or the other to try to sell you stuff. It's all free. right? So that's the first one, the LA County Clerk Recorder's website. So number 2 is the Sacramento County Public Law Library's website also. So I guess a brief bit of background in case you didn't know. California has 58 counties, Santa Clara County, Stanislaus County, and so on. And each county in California actually has a public law library also. So this is different than the county different than the county library where you might go to borrow novels or to read a magazine or a newspaper or borrow a movie or something. This particular public law library is just for legal kind of research material. So if you ever wanted to pull a random court case, let's say, you have all those kind of cases that are bound in like those books on the shelf, like there's like 20 volumes or something. Those are generally going to be there. Yeah, so I mean, like any type of legal research that most likely the average person's probably not going to do unless they absolutely have to. There are resources in every county in California to do that. The Stanislaus County Public Law Library is actually kind of up the road here. It's a little far from me. I've been to it a couple times before. It's pretty decent, I think. But yeah, so if you're in Stanislaus County, I will go ahead and link the Stanislaus County Public Law Library's website down below, and put their address down there too, just in case you didn't know that even existed. So anyway, but the public law library, like I said, every county in California has one. Sacramento County's public law library itself, I've not been to it before, but their website's actually fairly good. Like the LA County Court Recorder's website, they have a bunch of legal documents up there. Mechanics liens, powers of attorney, that kind of thing. So again, it's basically something where it saves you from having to draft a document like that from scratch. You can use, like, say, 60% or 50% that's from the document that Sacramento County's law library provides you. But again, the remaining 50% or 40% or whatever, you actually do need to fill it in yourself. And you also need to fill it in correctly. Otherwise, your document might be invalid, for example. Right? So hopefully that helps you. Again, because these are both government websites, hopefully there's not going to be any sort of motivation for them to try to sell you this or give you any type of biased information. It's the government. They treat everybody the same. So yeah, hopefully that helps, kind of save you some work at least. And if you've ever needed to see what a particular document, like a power of attorney, for example, looks like, hopefully getting a template from the LA County Clerk Recorder's Office or the Sacramento County Public Law Library, that at least gives you an idea of, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. So yeah, anyway, hopefully that helps. Again, I will link both of those websites down below. And yeah, hopefully that helps you guys. All right. So go ahead and share, comment, like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks.